All right, so here we have an app that allows us to search for movies, and it renders them in um, a tabular format. Let's add just one more library, another jQuery UI library that allows to add quite a few new behaviors. You can go to the jQuery UI library here. It's an extension to the core jQuery library, and it adds quite a few behaviors and widgets for standardizing the look and feel and the behaviors of an application. So, for instance, it gives you date pickers that even though all phones and now all browsers have date pickers, they're not standard across all vendors, right? So if you want to have a date picker that looks the same and behaves the same across all browsers, then this is an alternative. Okay? And you can style it any which way you want. Obviously you have dialogues. Again, dialogues are already supported by the native device, but this allows you to standardize it. It also provides several really nice behaviors that allow you to make anything draggable. Right? You can just apply the behavior onto an element, and you can make anything draggable on the page. You can have things that are snapped to a grid, a 20 by 20 grid, or you can have it something that snaps to another element. So as you move and it gets close to another element, it snaps to it so that it's now aligned. Right? So you can do some really nifty behavior. So this one only snaps to the top, either from the inside, right? Snaps to the inside, right, to the edges, or the outside, right? This one snaps to anything that gets close to, right? So it snaps. So you can have some really nice advanced behaviors. The one we're going to be using for this assignment is the sortable, which allows you to grab any item that is a collection of items, right? An item that contains a whole bunch of similar items can be sorted, right? So you can grab, and as you move them inside of others, right? They make room to reposition it wherever you want it. Okay, and you can have some really advanced implementation of this, where you might have several lists, right, connected to one another, where you can move one item from one list onto other items of another list, right? And you can move them and create this kind of portlet widget interface. Okay. You can have things that are dropped into other lists, right, or added to a list that is empty list. I think maybe. Let's go. Maybe not. You can display it as a grid, right? So you can move things around, and things make space for these new elements and to reposition it. Anyway, so we're going to be using this in our application. So let's install it. So we go here and say npm install jQuery UI. It will be somewhere in here. jQuery, there it is. jQuery UI. There it is. So I'm going to grab it. And grab these two things, jQuery and jQuery CSS. CSS is only needed for certain behaviors, not all of them. So I'm just going to grab it just in case. And I'm just going to copy them on my vendor. So let's see. It's in vendor jQuery. I'll just paste it in there. And from within my index page, I'm going to load my brand new jQuery library that I just loaded, which is jQuery UI.js. There it is. And I'm going to load the jQuery CSS that I need here. So jQuery and the CSS, there it is. Notice to load jQuery UI, it needs to be loaded after jQuery, right? It depends on the core that has already been declared. Yes? Right? It needs to be in that order. All right, so once we have that, now that we have jQuery UI, we can do some really cool things. For instance, we can just grab that H1. Well, we can grab it with the jQuery selector. This is a selector. It selects elements from the DOM. That's why it's called jQuery. Right? Query, as in a database. You query a database, right? And you give it a select statement, and then it comes back with all the rows that match your criteria. Same thing here. We are querying the document, the HTML document, and our expression, right? This is our selector, and it returns all the elements that match that criteria. Yes? Once I have H1, I can, for instance, obviously I can remove it, but we saw that that's not interesting. One of the things that I can do now, because I have jQuery UI, it adds quite a whole bunch of new behaviors. It adds, for instance, draggable. I can make anything draggable, right? Just by saying H1. So if I do my query again, if I refresh this, now OMDB API is draggable. I can just drag and put it anywhere I want. Okay. I can make anything draggable. I can grab the field and make it draggable. Not that I would want to do that, but why not? So this is draggable. The field. Oh, I can't drag it because I don't have anything to grab it by. Maybe I can. What if I can I do that? Maybe. Do I have a padding now? Do I have a margin? Do I have a border? Border, 10 pixels, solid, black, red. I still can't drag it around. Why can't I drag you? Oh, because I don't have a border. Do I have a border? Border, 10 pixels, solid. No, I can't drag you. Why can't I drag you? Anyway, let's. Can I do the H2? H2. Drag H2. Okay, H2 and H1. Yeah, the thing is that it's already taking a behavior of being able to type on it. So the click event already is taken over by the browser. Anyway, so let's type something here. Batman. Say search. So there it is. Let me grab my OMDB out of the way. So one of the things that I'd like to be able to do is be able to maybe reorder these. You know, maybe in an order that of preference, perhaps. So let's make the images just a little bit smaller. It's too big, I think. Let's change the height. I'll change it to. Oh, actually, no. We can do it from here, right? I can say img. I can set the attribute img, the attribute height to be 100. Let's see, Batman. Okay, so that's smaller, right? And what I like to be able to do is perhaps maybe move these things around. So what we can do here is this table, right after we append it, we can say, if we look at the table, the structure of the table, notice that it's there, right? We have the table, and it contains a collection of rows. See that? So if we make the table sortable, right, it should allow us to rearrange all these in there. Right? So we can say table that's sortable. so that if we have Batman here, we can move elements around, right? We can reposition it in a different place here. We can move this or up or down. Now, obviously, that I'm only manipulating the DOM now, right? I'm only manipulating what we have in front of us. This is not being stored anywhere in the database. If we would want to make this permanent, we would have to send enough information back to the database, right, and make sure we somehow store the new positions of these things, so that when we retrieve them later, right, we can remove them and update the user interface. That make sense? Okay. Right. So this is behavior that is available as part of the core and the UI jQuery JavaScript library. What we'd like to be able to do is something now, bring this over to Angular, right? And so let's do that next.